Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Short Game and Long Talk, a podcast about video games for a hectic life. I am Eric.
And I'm Jess.
And today we have our very first guest, which is very cool. I think I might be wrong, but I think I was his first guest, but maybe not. We have Derek from Good Games Casually. Derek, your whole thing is like extremely convoluted to me because you have so many different things that you do. So can you give us a little idea of what you do at Good Games Casually?
Well, yes, you are actually the first guest on my show.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, Good Games Casually encompasses mainly video games, and I try to weave into mental health and good gaming habits, which you can use for gaming, but also take into your real life and put to practice good stuff.
Nice. Yeah, you paid the toll of having both of us on your episode, and now you can be on our show. That's how it works. You have to have us both on your show, and then you can be on our show. For future people, if you ever want, you have to have both of us, and then you can come on our show. But yeah, you have a website, you got the podcast, you have articles, you built our Discord. You're a multifaceted person. And we're excited to have you on.
And I'm excited to be here. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So this episode, I think we talked about it during our last two videos that we were doing Luigi's Mansion 3. So to start, I think, Derek, you have the most experience with Luigi's Mansion because as we were talking about before we started recording, Jess was not born, and then she was 7 years old when the second one came out. So... This was the first one that I think... Is it the first one you ever played, Jess?
Played fully, yeah.
Okay. But you, touched on the other ones?
I touched on the first one, but since I was, 6, when I first started playing it, I was scared.
I can't imagine playing one of these games when you're that young. I had trouble with the controls, and I'm 30 years old. Derek, you definitely played, I think we talked a little bit off mic. You played the first one a little bit, and then did you play the second one?
No, I did not play Dark Moon.
Okay. I don't think that's important. But because the first one and the third one are definitely they're full console releases. The controls were probably much more similar. Tell me how you felt when when you played the first one, because I have a very minor experience with the first game, and I want to hear your experience.
Oh, man, I love the first one. I played it probably, 3 or 4 times all the way through. What I liked about it is because, for the longest time, Luigi's always the bunt of the joke. Luigi this, Luigi that. And now this dude's got his own game.
Yeah, and I definitely thought that was so funny. I even remember, because this was a GameCube launch title, Luigi's Mansion 1, for context. And I remember I wasn't even that involved in the world of gaming at the time. I was involved in the world of gaming, but I wasn't in the news, in the know I was I am now. And I even knew about the what was it called, the Mario 128 showcase that they did, where they showcased the power of the at that time Project Dolphin, which had 128 Marios running around on a planet. To showcase the processing power, and it's whoa, that's crazy. And then fast forward I think a year later, and the GameCube launches, and the first game you can play on it is not a Mario game, but it's Luigi, and he's afraid of literally everything. And I was like, that's a choice. I remember thinking that was a choice.
Yeah, man. Again, Luigi is just well known for being the butt of the joke. He's scared of everything, and what better way to put him in a game for him to be scared of everything. And like Jess said earlier, she was a little bit scared of it. Luigi's Mansion is legitimately scary. If you were playing it at that age for the first time, it's a good game.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting to go back and look at the way Luigi's Mansion 1 looks compared to Luigi's Mansion 3. The ghosts are much more sinister looking compared to the very friendly, goofy looking ones from Luigi's Mansion 3. I was not at once ever wow, that's a creepy design on any of these. But if you look back, I think there's a baby, a giant baby boss.
Yes.
It's scary.
Yeah. And it's that's That's fucked up. That's a really scary thing to think about. But yeah, do you remember how you felt like playing that as a kid? And like, were you like hyped, or were you like, oh, this is pretty fun? Or like, what was your experience like?
Well, I love horror games wholeheartedly, so playing that was kind of my jam. It kind of felt like I was playing a very cartoony version of Resident Evil 1.
Oh.
It's like, hey,
yeah.
It's like, hey, you know, we got the mansion, we got the staircases going up to the second floor, we got doors left and right. Except I'm not playing as Jill Valentine. I was playing as Luigi, little baby man with his vacuum walking around everywhere.
Little baby man. Yeah, no, for real. That's so funny. I love that. I never put that together because yeah, it's like it's a mansion and you got your stuff. That is a very apt comparison.
And legitimately, it probably is a horror game by nature. And I don't know if Nintendo intended it to be that scary, but it really was.
Yeah, that's I would love to go back and play it. I know it's on the Switch, but there's just so many other games like available at all times that I'm like, do I really want to go back and play this? What is it, like 20-year-old game? You know?
Yeah.
And from all intents and like for what it seems, they didn't really make too many changes to the remaster on the Switch. So, but yeah, Jess, what were your experience with like just overall Luigi's Mansion 3? How did you feel throughout?
Even up until the final boss, I hated the controls. I forgot about like 3 different controls that I could do. It was just a pain in my.
I agree with the controls thing. I like, as somebody who has played video games for, I would say 90% of my life at this point, having to think about what button does what, I was like, why is this so hard for me to remember what button is the dark light one, which one's the flashlight? And then there's also the problem of there's multiple buttons that do the same thing. And you're like, yes. I'm like, wait, why is this happening? Why is this happening? But I think it kind of, going back to the Resident Evil thing, it does kind of lend to the gameplay a little bit because it's like you feel inept when you're playing the game.
Yeah.
And Luigi is not supposed to be inept, showcased by one of the final cutscenes in this game that we'll get to after the intermission that made me like die laughing during that scene. But yeah, Derek, how did you feel? Like you're the Luigi's Mansion pro. How did you feel? How did you feel about the controls?
So, you know, playing on the GameCube, you just have the one stick, right? Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a pseudo tank control, except you got 360 control of everything. It's so nice to have the twin stick control on the Switch, but man, is it still kind of clunky. I'm sure we'll get into it later, but you know, one of the boss fights that's going literally around the room the whole entire time, and you're trying to chase him down with your flashlight, and you're pointing up, but you're trying to point down, you're trying to go left and right. It's still a little bit clunky, but miles ahead of the GameCube version.
Yeah, I can imagine. I would hope so. That like at the very least that they improved on that. But yeah, there's not much to talk about this game other than like, did we like it? How were the controls? Like, did we enjoy it? Derek, this is your second time playing through the game, right? Because you were originally going to do just watch a Let's Play to refresh yourself, and that didn't go super well, right?
I kept getting distracted trying to watch a Let's Play. I was like, dude, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this. I should just sit down and play the game, and that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said you like speed ran, right? Like went through it as fast as possible.
Yeah, because when I checked my save file when I last played it and completed it, it was back in 2019, pretty much when it came out. So I more or less kind of remembered where everything was. So my save file was finished at 11 hours, and I finished it on this next run at around 8 hours.
Nice. That is fast. I think mine ended up being like 14 hours, give or take.
Mine was 14 hours.
Nice. Yeah. And I think when I beat it, I gave Jess a little like tip. I was like, the money is pointless. Most of the puzzles only get you a gem. There's not a lot of collectibles in this game that are worth your time. Like, if you're just trying to get through this game, you can just focus on getting from point A to point B and you'll be okay. Like, it's that is kind of a disappointing thing about this game is like there's gems on every level, and there's just money everywhere, And I think when I beat the game, I ended up with like $35,000. Like, and the most expensive thing is $1,000 in the game. So it's very strange that they just there wasn't as much to do in between boss fights, basically. How did you guys feel about like each room just having a bunch of money, like a bunch of things to do? Where like, did you feel like it was superfluous, or did you feel like, oh yeah, at least it's something to do? Like, how did you guys feel about it?
Well, since I'd always like come back from my 9 a.m. class like on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays were like my days to play it because I have 9 a.m. class and then nothing until 3 p.m. So having nothing to do and then just like being able to go on the Switch. And honestly, anytime I like encountered money, it was by complete accident. And I thought I was like doing the main storyline. I was like, oh, this is a puzzle. This is probably going to lead me to like the key that I need. And then it would just be a bucket of money. Okay. But I liked it. It gave my mind something more to do than just focus on like an end goal, which my brain needs like 5,000 things going at once.
Yeah, no, I agree that like, that's what I was mentioning with the puzzles and stuff. It's like sometimes you get the gem, which is, I think, rewarding. You're like, oh, cool. I found something secret. But then like other times it's like, yeah, here's a bunch of money. You're like, I don't need the money. I'll take it because it's there, but I don't need the money. Derek, how did you feel about like all the quote unquote collectibles that were kind of pointless in the game?
Yeah, I think it's just, classic Nintendo for everyone who wants the adventure to keep going. Here's a bunch of gems that you can go get. And yeah, I mean, the money doesn't really do much of anything. Like if you're pretty decent at video games, like buying those extra revives or anything, don't really help all too much. But if you do collect all that stuff, you do unlock more fun tools for the post game if you want it, if you're into that.
Yeah, it's like
that's like really all it is.
It's just it's aesthetic stuff, right? It doesn't like do anything to actually improve the gameplay, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think if you get all the gems, you unlock a diamond version of the flashlight, and your flashlight, instead of emitting just a beam, it emits a beam and a boo stencil.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I looked it up. I was like, what am I missing? Because whenever I don't complete a game for the show, I like to look up like, oh, was there anything interesting that I missed or anything like that like, oh, that would have been worth it if I had more time. But it's like, I was like, it's just like aesthetic stuff. That's it. You don't need it's cosmetics. There's no like, I get a super flashlight that does like the full charge with one press or something like that to make the playthrough, like Resident Evil, where they give you like super overpowered stuff for a second playthrough. Like, that'd be cool. But yeah, I definitely, it's like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of money and it's really satisfying to use the vacuum to suck up everything in a room. Like, don't get me wrong. But I think if I did that to every room, the playthrough would have been like 30 hours just because there's so much stuff to just like suck up, which is crazy.
So much serotonin for the brain, just constantly hearing the ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, no, for real. Or the like thump when you suck up something kind of big. Yeah, that's definitely the game's sound design is super, super good. And I think they do a really, really good job of the classic like Nintendo / mostly Mario thing of like introducing a mechanic and then utilizing it through the whole level, and then later on it might come back in a more challenging way. And they do that to a literal extent because we can kind of go into the basic overall plot of this game. Instead of Luigi's Mansion, like the original, where Luigi weirdly inherits a mansion from somebody that he doesn't know, and it turns out that the mansion is haunted. In this one, him, Mario, Peach, and 3 Toads get invited to a hotel, and so that's where it takes place. So each level is a literal hotel floor. So it's a level of a building. So they like do that really, really well of like, here's the weird mechanic you're going to get used to for now, and it may or may not come back later in the game, but more likely than not, it won't. Like there's one water level, and that's basically like what you're going to deal with. Do you guys have any levels that you remember being like, this is like my favorite?
I think I want to say it's either the 3rd or 4th floor It's the floor that has the security guard on it.
Oh, yeah. I think that is the 4th floor.
What I liked about it was purely for the fact that this was definitely inspired by Resident Evil. So you know how each of the shops had diamond, hearts, club, spade?
Yeah.
And you need the keys for each of those things. It's like, dude, this is literally Resident Evil right here.
I didn't put that together, but you're 100% right. Like when you said this reminded me of Resident Evil, I was like, how was it Resident Evil? I was like, there's not like a big security guard that you have to take down and then I was like, oh yeah, the keys. Like before you even said it. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, that was a pretty good level. Jess, what do you have any off the top of your head that was like one of your favorites?
You'll never guess it. It was the director.
Dude. Yeah.
The movie set.
Yeah. So good.
I immediately tried going to like the end of the puzzle, and then I was like, where the fuck do I do all of this stuff? And I had to go all the way to the other side of the room to find the first door to go into.
I thought it was like when that because I went to each room and I figured out, like, I was like, I kind of have an idea of like what I need to do, but I'm like, how do I do any of this? And then it wasn't until I visited the 4th room, which was the one with like the well, that I realized you could actually like look in the camera, like, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, I can look in the camera. And then that changes stuff. And then, okay, now I have the next piece of the puzzle where I'm like, I need to do this. I'll talk about it later when we go into more details in the spoilers, because I don't want to like give away the puzzle. But like, it clicked, and then it clicked again, and then it clicked one more time, and I was like, this is incredible. Like this was definitely my favorite level. That one, and I think like from 8 to 11, there's so many good levels that they had. And that's like, weirdly, that's when I felt like the game picked up. Was like around like level 6 or 7. The game like had a bunch like of good levels in a row, which was really nice. I'm trying to think of the one with like the tomb was really cool. Like the pyramid level, I thought was really, really cool. Like it was basically an escape room, which was sick.
Yeah,
that was really, really fun. But yeah,
something I want to point out about the the movie floor is when you're going into the televisions to go to that next set, like immediately it's like walking through or jumping through a painting in Super Mario 64.
Oh,
you go in, you get transferred into another world.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a nice little parallel. I didn't even think of that. That is cool. And it also is like another thing of like another horror movie, you know, like with Poltergeist, like going into the TV.
Oh yeah, and the
which
ring.
Is cool. Yeah.
Ring. The little.
Oh, I have a good question for. Yeah, there was literally a ring reference in that level. Like the one with the well is like literally a reference to the ring. Now that I think about it, I have a good question for Jess. Do you know what a Virtual Boy is and why his little phone thing is funny that he uses throughout the game?
No.
No? Okay. A Virtual Boy is the very failed virtual console that, or like VR console that Nintendo tried to make in the 90s. And that's why doesn't he always has a piece of tech that is like an old Nintendo console that he uses to communicate with EGAD in each game. And the Virtual Boy, that's why everything was red, is the Virtual Boy, like when you use it, you can only see red colors. I'll send you some images right now of how bad this all looks, so you can get a nice idea of how bad the Virtual Boy was. It was an absolute disaster, an absolute flop. It had this stand on it that you had to use and lean forward, and it ran off of like 6D batteries or something like that, so it was super heavy. And then and it wasn't a virtual console or like a VR headset, because you couldn't play it with it attached to your face. You had to like lean forward like you were doing an eye test at the optometrist. So I thought that was a really funny little joke that they had, as that's his phone in this game.
That's exactly like the build of it is exactly like what pops up when you get the calls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so funny. I love that that's like, and I love they don't even try to have like Luigi put things in his bag or his pockets. He just pulls out things that are like the size of him. Like the keys in this game are massive, and he just sticks that right in his back pocket and it disappears like it's in like a bag of holding. It's incredible.
Yeah, there you go.
It's wild. Like I was like, you guys couldn't even put like a giant bag or something. But yeah, okay. Do you guys have any closing thoughts before we go into the intermission? Because I also have some fun things and not so fun things to talk about in the intermission.
I've got a question.
Okay.
What rank did you guys get at the end of the game?
I think I got a B.
I got a B.
I also got a B.
Really? And you finished in 9 hours and you got a B or 8 hours or whatever? That's crazy.
Oh, it's just skipping like all the money. So another thing the money does is gives you a higher rank.
Oh.
There's 3 different endings, but they're literally the same, other than when you get the wide shot of the mansion, depending on how much coins you got, it will either be like 1 floor, 2 floors, or the entire skyscraper.
Gotcha. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when I was playing Bowser's Fury. There's like, I always look up if it's worth it to get all the stars or whatever in Mario games, because I'm like, is there a true ending? And there was, and it's just a painting. And I'm like, why would I try to get all of these without without like an actual reward? There's no like bonus levels or anything like that. So that's interesting.
It's a beautiful painting.
It's okay. It's an okay painting. It's Bowser Jr. He needs to go to like art school or something. They're like, got to make it a little better. All right, Derek, do you have anything to close us out before we go into the intermission?
Yeah, if you haven't played Luigi's Mansion 3 or the first game, I don't have any experience with the second game.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, you definitely should all play that. It's fun. Do the thing, please.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Then we will see you guys in a second. Okay, welcome to the intermission, some people's favorite part of this podcast. I don't know why you guys like to just hear us talk about random shit, but I've had plenty of people tell me that they're like, yeah, I just listen so I can get to the intermission. And I'm like, fair enough. Whatever gets you to click on the link to watch or listen to the episode, that's fine. Jess, you were saying you had something very small to talk about, but it's funny,
so
right?
My roommate... Oh,
right.
Sorry.
It's so funny. She can't even talk about it.
No, not that. My window's open, and I have the blinds open, too, so I get, like, natural light. And the way my room faces is it faces the sidewalk. And I just saw someone sprint by and almost eat shit.
Oh, God. That's the worst. I was trying to
keep my composure with the sprinting, and then I just saw them slip because they're wearing sandals.
Oh, that's a choice.
Oh, no.
Can't run in sandals.
So wait, did you hear them already running? Because you know how sandals be slapping like...
Just be slapping.
Like... I was like, what is happening? Yeah. Look up out of my window, and I just see someone booking it.
That's so good. I love that so much. That reminds me of a time, just like a side note, where I was like, we had this at my junior college, we had this curb that was like, it was down a slope. So like, you know how when like things are built into a slope to make them level, there's like basically a wall. So we had basically a wall that turned into a curb because it was like going up a ramp. And I saw this lady like fully walking, and she was on her phone, and she just fell like 3 fucking feet onto her face. Like,
oh no,
because she thought she was about to step off a curb, and she just fully bam. And I was like, oh my God. And I like looked away because I didn't want to be like staring at her, but she knew I saw her. And then we had like my next class. It was my first day of like the semester. And then I had a class with her like that. I was like, oh no.
Oh, no.
I was like, no, this girl knows I saw her like eat shit. Luckily, she was okay. But like, I was like, man, nowadays, Eric now would be like running over there and be like, oh, are you okay? But like freshman or sophomore in college, Eric was like, I'm gonna keep moving and act like this didn't happen. So if you're out there, I don't know what your name is or anything, but if you're out there, I saw you, and I'm glad you're okay. But Jess, what do you got for your funny story that was fully sidetracked by a man running?
No,
I'm assuming
it was
a
a
man
girl.
running in flip flops. Dang, girls, you're supposed to be smarter than
Yeah,
us.
Birkenstocks.
Yeah, I only see in my head. I think of a dumb man running with flip flops. Like,
But anyway, so my roommate got The Sims 4 on their laptop, and we created a world where it's us in like our own like house, but we didn't have enough money to get like a good house. So now we're sharing like a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, tiny kitchen. And
so it's real life then.
well,
It's a
mine
studio.
is we don't have a kitchen in this room. So
Yeah.
but we also have a friend named Dyson. And as a joke, I was like, what if we put Dyson in the basement? And so we made a like 4x5 room in the basement. And it's
Okay.
just there's like a tiny cot and then a desk and string lights, and that's all that room has.
Hey, at least he's got the vibe string lights. That's good. That's better than
Essentials.
nothing. Yeah, the Gen Z essentials. Maybe get some LEDs in there and stuff.
Yeah. That's my
So funny. The Sims 4 is such a funny, like The Sims in general is such a funny game. Like, you should have just put in cheats so you could buy the house that you
Unfortunately, it's
wanted.
only a like school laptop type of deal. Like it doesn't have the computing power to run cheats.
It can run cheats. They're built into
It's-
Sims 4.
It chugs along sometimes.
Okay,
But we
gotcha.
spent like a good hour making ourselves, and then I was having trouble like doing whatever characteristics. So it's like, you pick for me. And they chose childish. Because our dynamic, I'm the youngest out of 3. They're the oldest out of 3. So we've got that going. We've got that youngest versus oldest always clashing.
Gotcha. That's very funny. I like that a lot. I'm trying to, I don't know what the other choices are, but I'm like, I know you pretty well. And I'm like, would I put childish as a descriptor for,
Well, you don't
for
live with
Jess? And I'm like, that's true. You have spent a lot of time at my house though, and like slept over and stuff. But I mean, maybe it's just because you're on your best behavior around me, which is not true. But yeah, I don't know. Childish, maybe you are childish when you're a roommate. Okay, Derek, what do you got for our intermission?
I don't have a whole lot, but I do have a funny story with my niece. So I've been dating my girlfriend for, over a year and a half.
Nice.
And her little niece just turned 1 this year. I don't know if you run into this, Eric, if you have any younger nieces and nephews.
I have
where
2.
they remember you, but they don't remember that you're cool.
Oh.
So every time I run into her name is Sherry, by the way. Mm-hmm. Every time I run into her, I look at her and she just gives me the most nastiest look, like we're about to get down. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, come on. Like, I just saw you like a couple of months ago. You don't remember me? Mm-hmm. And she'll be dogging me the whole 3 hours, and then she'll lighten up. So we were at a Friendsgiving yesterday, and she's starting to get her attitude. So I would come to her left side, and she would give me the side eye and like, then look to her dad. And then I have to run around to the other side, and she'll do it again, look to the other side.
I love that. How old is she?
Yeah. Turned 1 this year, earlier this year.
Okay, so she's super young. Yeah. I remember. So I have 2. I have a niece and a nephew. My nephew is 6, and my niece is 3, I believe, or she'll be 3 in February. I forget. She'll be 3 in February because she's the. No, she is 3. She'll be 4 in February. Because she was born like the year before our wedding. Her first steps were at me and my wife's wedding, which was really cool. Yeah, it was wild. That's a whole other like story. Is like me and my wife's wedding during the pandemic was a whole thing. But yeah, I remember when my older nephew, his name is Jack. I have a brother-in-law. That is also his uncle, obviously. And he's like a very goofy guy, very funny, very entertaining. And I'm like, I'm entertaining, sure, in my own way, but he's basically like a child TV host, like personality. So the kids always loved him. And I was a little sad at first, but then I realized I was like, just wait until he understands like video games, because then I'm going to be the coolest uncle on the planet. And fast forward to like from when he was like a baby, basically, to like 3 or 4 years old, I introduced him to Mario Kart. I am the cool uncle now, and I am asked to play Mario Kart every time I see him. And up until his last birthday last year, whenever he'd see me, he'd be like, "Did you bring Mario Kart?" It's like, "Yes, Jack, I brought Mario Kart just for you." And now he has his own Switch and all that stuff, also because I helped convince his parents to get it and told him it was a good idea. And his sister, Charlie, she plays like Mario Party and stuff. So I'm the video game, like that little seed took hold, and I'm definitely feel like the cool uncle, which is always nice. So eventually you'll get there. Once they're a little cognizant, they'll remember you, and they won't be like, "Who is this person?" But yeah, that's cool. I like that. My babies always get tripped out when they see me, because typically I'm one of the only people in their lives that has a beard. So they like stare at me and they're like, what is that on your face? What is like, they either love it or they hate it, and they see me and they cry, and it's very funny. But
Fantastic.
Kids are funny. But yeah, I had 2 things. Do we want to talk about the fun? Well, they're both honestly bad things, but one of them I'm going to spin into a fun conversation. So do we want the fun conversation or the like kind of rage-inducing conversation?
I'm down for the rage first.
How about you, Jess? What's your vote? Okay, cool. So if you didn't see in the news, Take-Two's CEO, Take-Two is the people that make GTA and Red Dead Redemption, stated that he feels that games should cost as many hours as they take to finish, which would be impossible for a lot of games. And in the words of like GTA, would probably mean games cost at least 100 hours or 100 games, or Jesus, $100. Whoa, that was weird. $100 just to play them. And I was like, because Take-Two is probably one of the most profitable companies out there just because of GTA Online. I'm like, if this becomes a pattern, that is like terrible for AAA studios, because I'm not going to pay more than, like, I don't even like paying more than $50 for games nowadays. Like, unless they're instant classics like Elden Ring or Tears of the Kingdom or something like that. Derek, you probably read this. How did you feel seeing this?
Well, first of all, I do kind of agree up until a point. Like, we're already entering that realm of like $70 a game, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's fair, especially if you intentionally are going to be releasing DLC. Mm-hmm. Like, this dude has the balls. Like, you're going to say that, and you know for damn sure you're going to be pumping out all this DLC, taking the young kids shark bucks. It's like, yeah, you're going to pay $100 and $100 more for all these shark bucks.
Yeah. And that will get you like almost nothing. Like, spending $100 on GTA Online now gets you like nothing, because everything is so expensive in that game.
Yeah, dude. Like, even with just in general, like it makes sense if you are going to deliver a beautiful polished product. But if you give me a half-assed product and then you give me DLC with more money to spend, I'm going to hate you.
Yeah. Like I had a conversation with somebody about DLC, and I'm like, I understand DLC, like the Pokemon DLC, right? I've heard very good things about it. It came out a year after the original release. And it definitely grows on what it's doing, and it gets rid of Pokemon's old dumb thing that they used to do where they'd re-release the new game again with like extra content. Like, I hate that. Like, I love Persona 5 Royale, but I wish it would have just been DLC for regular Persona. So I think DLC for situations like that where you're charging like, yeah, the game was $60 when it came out. The DLC expansion is going to be $30. And it's like, cool, that's fine with me if it builds on the story and it's not just like, I think Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 1 had really bad DLC, right? It was just like extra side quests or something like that. It was like nothing substantial. Like, that's stupid. But yeah, it's an interesting topic. Jess, did you hear about that at all?
Well, I don't know. I don't like it inherently because I'm a broke college student and getting games already is like a hard thing to do. And I can understand where he's coming from like a business perspective because yada yada. But like at the end of the day, they're having millions of people already buy these games and they're making huge profits already. It's honestly just to like I don't want to say that, never mind. I was gonna say something very opinionated and I'm shy away from that, but I think for people who are diehard like fans of the game, they'll spend the money for it. But I think if it does like go on and like start that, then they're losing a bunch of like casual gamer profits.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's disgusting coming out from a CEO that probably has nothing to do with the game side of things. You know, like if Phil Spencer from Xbox came out and was like, "Yeah, I feel like that," I'd be like, "That guy loves video games. I don't think he's trying to kill like the video game business or like make a profit. Like he is probably trying to make a profit. Of course, it's like the goal of business, but that guy cares about video games. But like the Take-Two CEO, who's like probably so far removed from game development that he's like, yeah, I just want money. Like that's all I hear from him. But I do think it's interesting that in Japan they've been doing this for years. Like there is a sliding scale of how much a game costs in Japan. Like I think Final Fantasy back in the 90s, like those games were like $100, like in Japan. But there was a standardized thing out in the US, so they'd come here and they'd be much more expensive. And this is like what's something that's already done with, or less expensive when they're here. This is something that's already done with like indie games, right? There's a sliding scale on how much an indie game costs. You know, like that's what's crazy. It was like Hollow Knight, when I think it came out, it was like $10 or $15, and it's like that's absurd. But then a game comes out like Dredge. Dredge is a very short, very easy game in my opinion, and it's $25, and it's like I still think that's worth it because it was like a 1 or 2 person team, and this is their first game, and they're trying to make a profit off of it. It makes sense. Would I like it to be cheaper? Of course, but with an indie game, I can be like, yeah, it's fine if it comes out and it's like above $25. But then like you get these games like, I don't know why I'm thinking of it, but Anthem like came out as like a $60 game, and it's like one of the worst games ever made. And it's like, why are you trying to charge? It's just because there's so much time that went into that, and you have to charge the maximum amount. And like, can you imagine if Anthem came out and they're like, well, we spent this much. This is our formula. We spent this much time making it, this much money put into it. So the game's going to be $100. It was already a flop. Like, can you imagine if it came out and it was $100 game? Like, so I do think it's an interesting conversation to have of like, do you move to a sliding scale thing, because I think Tears of the Kingdom was worth $70.
Oh, for sure.
But then they turned around, less than 6 months later, and Mario Wonder came out, and it's 60. They literally were like, we're reserving the $70 game price for games we feel are worth $70. And they are completely right with that one. Mario Wonder is probably worth $70 as well. But some people might look at it and be like, I don't want to pay more than $30 for that game. And that's fine too. But I do think it's an interesting thing because, man, like certain games, they're getting expensive, and it's a problem. Like it's becoming so expensive to enter into the gaming space and then also maintain being able to like purchase all these games and stuff.
They need to take a page out of Concerned Apes' way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, he created Stardew Valley. Like, yeah, he's not a huge AAA company or anything, but he made something that people want to play on a daily basis. This dude cleared, to this point, I was looking this up as you guys were talking.
Mm-hmm.
As of a month ago, he has easily cleared $300 million.
Crazy.
And for AAA companies, like, oh, that's nothing. It's like, yeah, but if you made a game with the resources you have to that level of desirability, you'll easily clear more than $300 million, and you wouldn't have to have these stupid DLC requirements to make the game more fun or do this dollar per hour kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Just make something great that people want to buy, you know?
Yeah, it is interesting because they have these massive teams, and like they're putting out these huge titles, and they're getting so bloated, and like that's why it's like shocking when a game like The Last of Us or God of War, like they come out and it's like, yeah, these are nice, quick, like not that long games, and they spent all this money on it, but it was still like really good. So yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. It didn't seem to get too much steam, which is good because I would hate for all of the other CEOs to be like, yeah, that sounds great. We should charge by the hour. It's like, well, hold on. If somebody can speed run the game, does that mean it's $1? Like, you know, I've seen somebody beat Bloodborne in 30 minutes. Does that mean that game's worth 30 cents? Yeah, or 50 cents? Like, I don't know. But it's an interesting thing. As for my other topic, there was another concerning headline, at least in my opinion, that Nintendo is working on a live action Legend of Zelda movie. I want to get a little litmus test on how each of us are feeling on that. Jess, how do you feel with that news?
I don't know. I think if they work it, like, if they do good, then I'll be like, great, yes. But I don't know. I had high hopes for the Mario movie, and the Mario movie was good, but it wasn't what I was expecting. So with any like rumors of any new movie coming out, I keep my expectations low.
It's a good habit, honestly.
I want to know why Nintendo decided to go with live action when they just knocked it out of outer space with the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And not only that, you know, Nintendo has a lot of money. They're not printing money like Nintendo, or sorry, not like Microsoft or Sony or something. But Sony's backing this movie financially.
Which is another interesting thing, yeah.
Yeah, who are not aware. And they decide, like, I understand, which I'll get into. You know, you got like a B tier director, and you got a B tier producer. But in the realm of making something that's digestible for everyone, yeah, they are definitely A tier in that aspect. But yeah, I just don't understand why they went with live action and a movie.
Yeah, live action movie with the producer Avi Arad, who you'll probably see talked about because he's tied to like Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse and stuff. And you're like, oh, that's really good. He's also tied to like Morbius and like terrible like the third Spider-Man movie from like Tobey Maguire, like these bad movies. He does not have any, like, there is no reason to think that he has any involvement in why Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse is good, like based off of the rest of his track record. It is wild. Like, they needed to just get all of their money. Don't go that far, because I'm pretty sure the man lives in Japan. Back up a dump truck worth of money to Hayao Miyazaki and be like, make a silent Legend of Zelda 90-minute movie in the Studio Ghibli style. Like, just do that.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, it would be so cool. You could literally do it like, you can start it with like being 3 movies, right? You do the first Zelda movie, Link to the Past, and Ocarina of Time, like, because those games are all, and you like can do each story in like 30 minutes. Or you could just do Ocarina of Time. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird why they went live action. Like, they should just do animated, and it makes too much sense. These people are elves. They look weird. They're not. Every time I've ever seen a cosplay of Link or Zelda, I'm like, they look good, but they look not right at the same time. Like, the best cosplays of those characters don't look right. And it's just because they just don't translate well to real life. So I'm like, who are they even going to cast? Like, who would look right for that stuff? So I'm so genuinely concerned about if they end up doing the live action. And yeah, I just don't. I'm like, guys, you just crushed it with an animated movie.
And what is the mood going to be? Because, you know, most of the Legend of Zelda games are pretty dark by nature. So is it going to have that kind of feeling? Because if it is, then they can kind of get away with like the weird looking elf characters, because, you know, they can just make it in the same tone as Game of Thrones or something, or Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And there's also that glimmer of hope with, you know, Shigeru Miyamoto having very high standards that at the very least he would watch this movie that they made and be like, nope, not doing that.
Yeah, I think that's why the Mario movie like took a while, because he was like not happy with it. And I'm like, okay, but who pitched the idea of live action with this game or this movie and was like, yeah, that's a good idea? Like, I just don't get it. It just translates so much better to animated.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Netflix documentary of how this movie was made.
The first trailer, I'm so nervous of like the panning shot, and then they'll show Link in his garb, and I'm gonna be like, he just looks bad. Like, I can't. I'm like trying to imagine, right? Because you're like talking about like Lord of the Rings or stuff like that. I'm trying to imagine Link's outfit, like even the most like gritty outfit of like Twilight Princess or even the Hyrule Warriors one. Trying to see what he looks like with his weird little hat and his green tunic. I'm just trying to imagine it in live action, and I'm like, there's no way I can take you seriously. You look like Robin Hood. Like, you need to be animated, or even like, CGI. Like, it needs to be a full, I would like it to be drawn, right? Like the Studio Ghibli style is like perfect for Zelda. Yeah. But if they even wanted to go like the way Mario was done, I think that would be fine too. But yeah,
just make him Tom Holland Legolas.
Oh my God, dude. That's what I've seen, that picture floating around. I'm like, it looks so wrong. Or Timothy Chalamet is the other one that's floating around. I'm like, no, they need to get somebody that is like so unknown. You can get a big actress for like, for Zelda, because Zelda's like not really a character in most Legend of Zelda stories. And then I have been seeing like Idris Elba floating around as Ganondorf, and I'm like, yeah, that would be sick. Like, I can't deny that he's dope as hell in everything he's in. But
dude, I wouldn't be surprised if for Zelda, because this actress has been on a roll, it's gonna be Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, I've heard that one floating around. The other one that I really like is the actress from Euphoria, but I can't remember her name. It's not. No, not Zendaya. Hunter Schafer is the one. Yeah, Hunter Schafer would be very, very good as Zelda, because very similar to Anya Taylor-Joy, they have like the ethereal look to them.
They don't.
Which is like
they look like they've never seen an iPhone.
Mm-hmm. They look like they're from another planet, like both of them, and especially with like Hunter Schafer is a model as well, so like you can there's plenty of pictures of her out there with the crazy like runway model makeup on, and you're like, oh whoa, yeah, you look like you're from a different planet, which is like exactly what I want. Like Hylians should not resemble humans, other than like the fact that they have 4 limbs and a head. You know, like it should be a different thing. So I don't know. I'm very curious. There will be this. I will do an emergency episode the second that trailer drops. Like I will call up Jess, and it's going to be so like it's either going to be great or it's going to be terrible. I'm going to analyze every frame of that thing.
I'm going to be in the middle of class, like, what do you want? What's up?
Yeah. It dropped.
I was curious to see if there's any theories of potential actors, and someone said Michael Cera as Link.
Oh my god. Oh god, that'd be so distracting. Like
it would, dude.
That's why it has to be like a nobody, because otherwise it's just going to take me out of the role. Like every time I'm just going to be like, that's Tom Holland or that's Michael Cera. Like that would be rough.
That'd be so awkward.
Yeah. I think they just need to find an unknown person. I mean, that's how Star Wars was made, you know, like they found 3 unknown actors who became legends. And it's like, okay, I just can't see it, man. I can't. Like, I have a Master Sword and a Hylian shield over here, and I'm like, that in a movie would look terrible live action. But because the colors are so bright, like even in Twilight Princess, the colors are still really bright. He's still wearing a bright green tunic through the whole game.
Oh, for sure.
You know? Oh, and can you imagine if they did Wolf Link? How stupid that would look in live action.
I'd walk out.
It would look like Twilight.
It would look even worse because he has big cartoon eyes in the game. Like he does not have wolf eyes.
Have you seen the behind the scenes for the Twilight? When Jacob is a wolf.
I think so. Maybe at one point.
It's so funny. The actor, Taylor Lautner, is literally just like getting awkwardly pet. Wearing like the CGI suit, and he's the girl who plays Bella, I forgot her name, but
Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, she's just awkwardly like petting his head.
Thank you, Derek, for oh my god, that's incredible. Whoa, those movies are a masterclass in like cringe, and I love it. I love rewatching those movies. They're so funny. Oh, incredible. I can't believe it. Just Taylor Lautner in a full skin tight suit getting his head pet. Incredible. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we jump into just kind of talking about more spoiler stuff for Luigi's Mansion 3?
I just remembered a little story.
Absolutely.
So I have a class called it's like a transition to college class. Just so that like we know how to act in college, like just be
how to exist,
a functioning person in college. And so my my instructor, their name is Rio. They're like 20. They literally just turned 21. They're a junior here, and they're like, okay, next class, you guys need to bring something intellectually stimulating. And on the list was like a gaming console, like a portable gaming console. And I was like, does that include Nintendo Switch? And Rio was like, yes, bring your Switch. Let's play video games all of class next. Okay, cool. And then so this other guy in my class is like, oh, hey, I'm going to bring my Switch. Can we hook it up to the projector? And my instructor's like, yeah, of course. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll do it. I come back to class the next week. And I bring my Switch, and we play Super Smash Bros.
Hell yeah.
For like the entire class period. But before we started playing, we had to like not had to, but we did like a little show and tell of like what we brought, why it's intellectually stimulating. And so I was like, okay, I'll talk about mine because it was while I was playing Luigi's Mansion too. So I was, but so Rio was like, "Oh, Jess, you brought your Switch. Why is it intellectually stimulating?" So I had to explain, and I was like, "Okay, so practically the games on it, puzzle games, intellectually stimulating, but also it ties into a bigger intellectually stimulating thing called my podcast called
Hell
Short
yeah.
Game Long Talk."
Guerrilla marketing, let's go.
But and then actually a guy right next to me was like, "Oh, you have a podcast? Oh, do you guys have like guests on it? Are you guys looking for guests on it?" I was like, "We're actually about to do our first guest appearance, and we've been guests on other podcasts."
What are the chances? What are the chances?
Right? So, hi anyone from class if you're listening to this. Also, hi Rio.
Yeah.
I know Rio has subscribed and listened. Hi Rio.
Hell yeah. Hi Rio.
Hi, Rio.
Hell yeah. Thanks for guiding our youth. That's very cool. And meeting them where they are with video games. It's important. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I told Jess at one point, Derek, that I was like, or once she told me that she was kind of using some classes to plug the podcast, I was like, I was kind of hoping you would do that, but I didn't want to put the pressure on you because I was like, there's no better way than during an intro to a class where you're like, tell a fun fact about yourself. You can be like, I have a podcast. Like, that's a great way to plug the podcast. So,
and then pull out the microphone from your backpack like Luigi does and then drop it on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. Drop the Yeti Nano, it just explodes on the ground. Like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that.
Eric, I need a new mic.
Yeah, literally.
This is my graduation present.
I know. It literally was. It literally was because I was like, you're going to Flagstaff. You can no longer record with me in person as often. I'm getting you a good mic. Here you go. This will get the job done until once you're in an apartment or something like that, I'm going to drive up to Flagstaff and soundproof your room. And like,
yeah,
here we go. But yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, yeah, hello to all of your classmates if you're listening. That's very cool. Okay, do you guys have anything else before we go talk about our favorite parts of this game?
Nope.
I am ready.
All right, cool. We'll see you guys in a second. All right, welcome back. This is your final warning for spoilers for Luigi's Mansion 3. If you haven't gone to go play it or you just want to hear us talk about it, it's honestly another one of those games where we're going to talk about puzzles and bosses and the beginning and ending, but there's really not that much to talk about that will be super spoilery because this is a non-visual medium, so we're not even going to be spoiling what people look like exactly. First off, we'll talk about the beginning. The beginning is, you'll have to remind me, Derek, how the beginning of the first game starts, but is it basically exactly the same as this? Like, because Mario gets taken again.
Yeah, basically the same thing. Well, almost the same thing. It's under the guise that Mario and Luigi were invited to go live in this mansion. You know, Mario's already there, supposedly. And instead of arriving on a bus, Luigi arrives on a taxi, gets dropped off, and walks in.
Who drove the taxi?
Probably some dude with a driver's license.
Okay. I was thinking more of like, was it a toad? Was it a ghost? Like, but yeah, probably, I would assume. Do they have driver's license in the Mushroom Kingdom? I feel like they don't.
They probably have mushroom licenses.
Yeah, fair enough. Mushroom license.
But yeah, like, yeah, it's like you just see like the wheels of the taxi, really, and then Luigi comes out with his giant suitcase that's half the size of his body.
So it's the beginning of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes.
Okay, so then in this one, they get invited, except this time, like I said, there's Peach and 3 toads, and they all go up to their room and get kidnapped by the owner of the hotel, who is trying to impress King Boo, which I think is the main villain in the first game, right?
Yes.
Or I wonder if he's the villain in all 3 games. Because like, what other ghost is going to be the main villain? but yeah, she's just trying to impress him, and they put everyone in paintings that you have to release them from. And the first one you get is Egad, who is the guy who invented the what is it? What is this? Poltergust, right? Yeah, the Poltergust. And this one, I think the main new mechanic in this is Luigi, which is fun. And it basically makes a duplicate of Luigi, who has 25 hit points and dies instantly to water. But you can control one or the other at the same time, or like one or the other, not at the same time. If you do co-op, you can do it at the same time, which I'm sure makes the game way more fun. I was not able to do that because my wife was too busy. But I'm sure co-op with this game is like A+, if I'm being honest. I can imagine it makes the game so much more fun. But yeah, then you just go, all of the buttons on the elevator get stolen. And every level has a new button that you have to get from the boss, and then you go to the next level. That's basically rinse and repeat. You do that for 15 levels, and that's the game. With that being said, we talked about a little bit about our favorite levels, but do we want to talk about the bosses a bit? Derek, what did you say your favorite was? The hotel shops, right?
Oh, for levels, yeah.
Okay.
But for bosses, I want to say the museum boss.
Museum is sick.
Yeah, dude.
The Unnatural History Museum, right? That one?
Yeah.
That
exactly.
one. Talk about that one. Cool. That one's awesome. That was one of my favorites as well.
Like, you almost utilize every single mechanic in the game to defeat that boss, which is a giant skeleton T-Rex.
And like the
it's
setup
like so engaging.
Is so good.
Yeah. Like the little cutscene before you get into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything about that, awesome. Loved it so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it's Jurassic Park basically, where they have the skeleton of the T-Rex in the background, and then every time there's like lightning, the skeleton moves a bit. I was like, oh hell yeah, we're gonna fight a. Basically, like when I walked out of the hotel or the elevator onto the level, I was like, oh, are we gonna fight a giant T-Rex? Because I didn't know, and then I saw it, and I was like, hell yeah, we're fighting giant T-Rex. This is sick. And it was actually a challenging fight, but not unfair. And I wasn't fighting with the controls as much with this one, I felt like, which was really, really cool.
Which is interesting because, it's the same setup, big open arena, but it's probably just the way the boss fight was intended, because it's stationary for a little bit for like the first half of the fight, and then it starts moving around.
Yeah, which is really cool. Yeah. That's a great one. Do you have any other bosses that you really like?
I guess outside of that one, I want to say the Egyptian floor was also a cool boss fight. It was tedious, but the set design was so cool though.
Yeah, I agree. The tombs one was very cool. Yeah, it did take a long time. I
hated that boss. I think
really
her design was so cool, but I hated that fucking. Ugh.
Yeah, go on.
So, I was already having like a kind of bad day when I like decided to clear that level, and then I had gone into that fight with like, I have it in my notes. Okay, tomb boss, gone in with 5 golden bones, left with 1.
Oh my god!
Ooh.
It kept. I don't know why I was like bodied, but I just kept dying.
It is a weird one. I do remember I got hit a lot. I like there was a couple stages where I definitely died a couple times. Weirdly enough, I died to the piano guy who I had beaten in the past, like because I had played this game once before, up to like probably like floor 6 or something. But there was just sometimes like you're fighting with the controls so much that you just get hit so many times. But this one definitely, I think, like Derek was saying, it's so tedious that it leaves you a lot of opportunities to get hit, which I think is probably why you died so many times. Like, I definitely remember getting hit a lot and just getting lucky with the hearts. Yes, it is a cool design. It's very fun, but yeah, definitely like having to basically you have to suck the sand from her to like reveal her, and then you get an opportunity to do one hit basically. It's not just one hit, but that's just like the way in classic Mario fashion, it is basically just one hit, and you do that 3 or 4 times and then you beat the boss. And that's how it works for every boss. But yeah, it's very strange. I think
what they could have done to make that a little better is just decrease the amount of sand you had to suck out.
Literally. Like it would not have taken away from the fight at all. And they could have made the fight harder. Like there's some moves she does that I'm like, she doesn't feel like she advances her after the first phase. She doesn't really like have new moves really that make it more difficult.
Yeah, that was like every other boss had like a new thing that they did. You just kept going with the 4 snakes and the face.
Yeah, 4 snakes, face, and like the sand fists, and that was it. And like all very easily dodgeable. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, Jess, what was like one of your favorite fights?
Oh my god. Freaking I need to see what it was called again. Where is it? Oh, the knight. The jousting.
Really?
I love the jousting.
That's so funny. I hated that fight. That is okay. Tell me why you liked it.
I don't know. It was just like maybe it's going back to the actor in me, in where I had the whole arena of all the like cutout ghosts. I don't know. I think it was fun, and like running from the little like arrows that got shot out too, while also like keeping an eye on the jousting. I don't know. I thought it was fun.
No, so this was the only boss I had to look up. Like, I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, this is one of my big complaints about this game. Is like, sometimes it feels like you're like, okay, I've got this. I figured it out. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing it. It's not working. I must be doing it wrong. And then you look it up and it's like, no, you're doing it right. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm doing it right? And then I do it again and it works. Like, it feels like that happens a lot in this game. Maybe that's my personal experience, but that's what happened with this fight. I was like, I have to be flashing him, right? And then I have to pull him off and do all that stuff, like pull him off of his horse and do that. And it's like, okay, so I tried to flash him, and like no matter what I did, it just wouldn't work. And then finally I like looked up a guide and I'm like, oh, I have to wait a half a second longer. And I'm like, can we have a little bit more room for error with stuff like that?
I could get into that with a different
the Polter Kitty.
Polter Kitty.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we're talking about bosses right now, so go in on like you fight Polter Kitty twice or 3 times, I forget.
Think it's 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
No, it's just twice.
It's just twice. I did really like that you had to fight this. You had to fight it throughout the levels. Like, I thought that was cool that it would just pop up randomly.
Good way to replay some of the levels.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you not like about it?
I thought I was going right. I thought I was doing everything perfectly. And then whenever I would turn around to try to like flash it with my flashlight, she would just run away. I was like,
yeah,
what am I doing wrong here? And then I had to search it up. This was one of the main things I had to look up, was how the fuck to get Polter Kitty.
Yeah.
And
because you had the right idea. Like I was saying, you knew exactly what you needed to do. And
so like finally I did it one time. The first time I started fighting this cat, I got it the first time after reading the guide. And then I did it again, what I thought I was doing correct. And then it was wrong for the next like 10 times. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I had to wait like just a second longer for it to like rear back. Like, it just made me so annoyed that you had to wait for that. And then you had to try to start sucking it up.
Yeah, it was like that happened a lot. Like the timing on stuff being a little too like precise. Going on to a positive, we talked about the Paranormal Productions level, like with the director.
Yeah.
that boss fight.
A Godzilla.
Yeah, dude, I was losing my mind when that ghost came out in a Godzilla outfit, and I was like, no way. Like, even the intro to that fight is Luigi stepping, and it makes like a big like shake because he's like he's a kaiju, and he like a car hits him, and he's like, "Oh, sorry." Like, it's so funny. It was so good. And then it became a Dragon Ball Z fight because you have to, like, you and Luigi have to blow the fireball back at him. And I was like, this is so sick. I love this fight so much. And then on top of that, you don't even have to kill the ghost. You don't have to kill him.
Yeah, he bows to you like good job, and then you just get the elevator button from the director.
Yeah, and then you can let him finish his stuff. It's great. Another one worth shouting out is the I think it's the Spectral Catch is the one. Is it that one? I think Spectral Catch is the right one. It's the one where you fight the shark, which is such a sick fight.
Oh yeah, and the pirate level.
Yeah,
the pirate floor.
That was such a sick fight. Like, I think all of the levels that do a really good job with what's it called? Just when they're just straight boss fights. When the level is just like you get there, you go to the level, you fight the boss. All those ones are really, really good. Because like the Unnatural History Museum is that one. The Spectral Catch is one. The Fitness Center one is basically that as well, I think. The Dance Hall one is another one. Those are all. Dance Hall. Yeah. But we'll get to that one because I liked that one a lot too. But the fight with the shark was so sick. Like, it did such a good job of like it showcased. Like, I saw elements of the level, the pirate ship, and I was like, I definitely feel like this is going to turn into something. And then it like his face would go on it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like I was so sick. And the fight itself was just like really fun and like the right amount of challenging. So that was super, super cool. I think my favorite level though, like just design wise, was the Twisted Sweets, the magic one. Like trying to figure out like everything. It felt like finally like I was solving puzzles, and it was to move forward with the level instead of just what's it called?
Money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's almost by design. I think how, like you said, some of the floors were just straight up boss fights, and all the resources went to the boss fight, and then you go to the other floors, like the magic floor, and the entire floor is sick. Yeah, like all those puzzles are really cool and engaging.
And then the boss fight sucks. Yeah, that one was terrible.
Do you know how hard it was for my brain to like finally compute? Hey, this door doesn't actually lead to the hallway that the map says it leads to.
Oh yeah,
so funny. Because that's the last puzzle of the level is every door gets switched.
I was so confused the first 5 times I went through doors because I was like, okay, I go through this door and it's gonna lead me to the stage, and then it led me to a bathroom, and I was like, this is not the stage.
Yeah, that was a good level. Like, I really liked that level. But do you guys remember that boss fight?
Yeah, I mean, the scenery was cool. Like, it felt like I was at Final Destination in Smash.
Yeah, but it was not a good. I think I died the most or the second most on that boss. Because it's basically the musical hats, right? It starts off and it's really easy, and then I was like, I cannot figure out. Kind of like the final boss. At first, I could not figure out which one the right one was without looking up a guide. And then finally, when it was the last, if you fail a bunch of times, the one that is the right hat basically sticks its hand out. And I was like, okay, that's it, I guess. But it was just so. Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a problem with it at all. Nice. At one was the only one where my intuition was completely correct every single time.
That's awesome. But, yeah, I'm usually really good at those 3-card Monty games in video games. But then dickhead Nintendo decided to turn the lights off while the thing is spinning around, and I was like, what? the hell just happened? And I lost it like every single time. But maybe I'm just bad at it. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought. But that was really frustrating. That one, and then the final boss we'll get to has a very similar mechanic that now is very obvious, but at the time was not very obvious. I'm trying to think. I'm looking at my other notes. Derek, was there a boss that you were like, I just can't stand this thing?
The garden floor. The boss for that one.
Having to go all the way up and then all the way back down and then like halfway up and then all the way back. Ugh.
Yeah, that floor was just tedious the whole time. Like, yeah, it looked really cool, but super tedious. And then the boss fight, I don't think, or maybe they just did a poor job of giving a pattern to when the pseudo piranha plant was going to attack you, because you had to bait it to latch onto one of the fruit. But it almost felt randomized. You would get in front of it, and then it would just swipe at you and destroy the fruit.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I make you open your mouth and eat this thing?
Yeah, no, literally. I remember thinking that too. I'm like, this does not feel right. Like, this is, I'm like, something's wrong here. And then it would also, when it swiped, it would hit the like buzzsaw thing that you needed to beat it like away. Yeah. And you're like, what the, now, and Luigi, we didn't talk about this. He is slow as hell. Like, he is so slow. Dude. And then when you're sucking up something like the buzzsaw, he's even slower. Yeah. So the thing swipes it away. You finally get him to grab the fruit or the plant or whatever. And then like you get there and you have like no time to like saw the vine or whatever. Yeah. I totally forgot. I did like that level a lot. I thought that was pretty cool, but the boss fight was an afterthought. It felt like, oh.
There was a part, I don't know if it was just like my game that glitched out or something, but like right when I had like, it was like the last couple like HP for the plant and the boss. I would grow the fruit, and then after like 10 seconds, it would just like poof away.
That was part of the mechanic.
Oh, okay.
Later, like that's the third phase of that fight. Is they're not there forever.
I got so pissed off with that because I'd finally bait it and it would start like lunging. And then as soon as it lunges, the plant is just gone. I was like, yeah, I did all this work for nothing.
And that's what a lot of these fights feel. A lot of these fights feel like that. They feel like work. Like you're like, I'm just like working towards something instead of like, I have a mastery over this and I'm confident I'm going to win. Like that's the difference, I feel like. Compared to like the T-Rex fight. The T-Rex fight, I was like, I'm good. I fully understand what I'm needing to do. I'm capable of doing it. I'm challenged right now, but I'm going to get there. Whereas these other ones, I'm like, all right, I got to do this, and then oh, look, it didn't work. Time to start over. Like that's how it felt with some of the fights.
Yeah, that fight would have been infinitely better if it actually did have a pattern it stuck to. And there probably was a way to actually bait it each time. But for the most part, it just did it whenever it felt like it.
Yeah. Another weird fight. I did enjoy the fight, but the fitness center, the second stage of the fitness center with the guy, the water polo player.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't figure, like when he's stuck in the drain, I was like, okay, I got to hit him with the volleyball, obvious. And then what do? I try to flash him. No, that resets him. And then I walk up to him and I start trying to like suction him. And then he like resets. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And because there isn't a big enough like indicator of me doing the right thing. And it just turns out I needed to hold down the suck button for like a 0.5 seconds longer, and then it starts to pull his goggles off. And I was like, yeah, that was my idea. But it didn't work right away. Because he just looks like he's like resetting every time you do it. So I'm like, all right, that was annoying. But the fight itself was cool. Like I liked it, like having to dodge between cover, use Luigi so he doesn't get wet, and then like drain the pool. I thought that was super cool. It was like one of the more like involved fights, I feel like.
Yeah, very interactive.
Sometimes I forgot that Luigi existed.
100%.
Especially in that fight, I was like, how am I supposed to get over there? I was launching volleyballs at the meter to see if it would just hit the meter. And I was like, how does this work? And then I searched it up. I was like, how to defeat water polo ghost. And it was like, get Luigi. And I was like, oh my God. And it wasn't until the beginning of that, like at the elevator, that I found out you could put Luigi away manually.
Oh, you thought he had to die?
I consistently thought I had to go into another room or put him in water to get him to go away.
That's so funny. Yeah, you just double click the right stick.
I just imagine Jess setting Luigi to his death every time.
It was all the time. Anytime I saw water, I was like, okay, Luigi, bye-bye.
For context, people, this is level 13 out of 15.
Because, okay, hold on. Now I need to make sure, because I feel like I'm going to make an idiot of myself.
That's okay. That's half the podcast of us doing this. Like, we just make idiots of ourselves.
Yes, okay. So at the beginning, there's like a pressure plate. Like right outside the elevator,
yes.
There's a pressure plate that if you stand on it, just Luigi himself, there's like gold bars that you can suck up. But I was going after the gem at the top. I was like, okay, I need Luigi. And then I got Luigi on the platform, got the gem, and then I was like, okay, how do I get out of here? Like, there's no water near me. I can't just get out of this platform. I tried jumping out of it. There was nothing I could do. So I was like, how the fuck do I get out of here? And so I searched up, can you put Luigi away? And it was like, just double tap the right stick. And I was like, what?
That's so funny. Wow. I love that. Because, yeah, I mean, you took some breaks in between playing, so you might have just missed that or at one point knew that and forgot. That's so...
Or I also...
So funny.
Whenever Egad was talking, I just tried skipping through his dialogue as much as I could. So I probably just didn't see it.
Poor Egad. I love Egad. He's a funny character. Oh man. What was I gonna say? There was another thing I was thinking about. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, okay. The fight that I hated the most in this game, I wanted to bring up because me and Jess slightly talked about it, and she did it in one try. So it's very funny how different this experience was. Derek, what did you think of the boiler room fight?
It was kind of in the middle for me of what am I doing? And, oh, that makes sense to me. I think I probably died like, I don't know, twice in that fight.
Yeah, so for context, this is the boiler room where you get in a giant inflatable duck and either suck or blow to move in the water. And for me, I could not grasp the controls no matter what. And I like struggled this whole level basically if I wasn't going in a straight line. And then for them to be like, okay, here's a circle with spikes around it. Now fight the boss. And I was like, oh, fuck me, dude. It was so bad. And I could not get a grasp on it. And I think I died, like 3 times, which at that point I had I had gone on a streak of not dying for like levels on levels. And I used like 2 or 3 of the golden bones. And I knew exactly what I needed to do, and the controls were just so bad that I just could not grasp it. And then I text Jess, and she's like, yeah, I did it in like 1 try. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? So Jess, how was your experience with this level?
Since I had a lot of like extra time, because you beat this in like, you sat down and played it through
2 days.
In 2 days. I played this throughout October and November. So I had like time to like take my time in each level, which is why I'm surprised that we both ended on like 14 hours.
So my first play, like I jumped into an older playthrough that had like 2 hours of the first, like up to the first, I think I got to the 3rd level. So I don't know. I probably also was like dicking around and stuff. So it is interesting. But hey, we ended up with the same time. It's kind of a good game design in that point because we struggled and didn't struggle at different points throughout the game.
That's a good point.
But what's it called? Yeah. So the rest of the gameplay of that not episode. What the fuck am I saying?
Level.
Of that level. Um, with Luigi like going down the water in the raft and Luigi on the top deck.
Mm-hmm.
I was also dicking around a lot there, just like, okay, what if I go this way? Okay, what if I go this way? And I was able to get a grasp of the controls I don't know why. When controls are like straightforward, I don't understand it. When controls are all backwards and like make no sense, I'm like, oh yeah, this is easy.
You got to try inverted controls then. Maybe that'll change your life when it comes to gaming.
So having like already had a grasp of what I needed to do, and then like I had for a bunch of the other ones before this, I had to be like, how to defeat the boss. Just because I couldn't understand how to get through like the first phases. Once I got through the first phases, I was fine. Yeah. It was just getting through the first one. This was the first one I was like, oh, easy. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It kind of felt like second nature to me. I was like, okay, gotta do this, and then I gotta like get him to hit the sides. Okay, cool. And then I was done.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I like could not. It felt like I was like walking backwards like the whole time I was playing that level. It was so frustrating, but I'm glad that you had a good time with it because it was a cool level. I liked the idea. And then the boss fight itself, I was even like, yeah, I get it. I can't accomplish this. It was so frustrating.
I get it, but I hate it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not for me, but I respect it. Yeah, what was I gonna? There's a couple points. Do you guys have any like negatives that you want to talk about a bit more before we kind of like wrap things up and talk about like the positives, the ending of the game?
I hated the dark light. I forgot that it was there, and then every time I needed to use it, I would search up how to do this, and it'd be like, use your dark light. I was like, fuck, I forget that it's a thing.
You use it so infrequently, like that it definitely feels like something as of an afterthought.
Especially when you get to like the corrupted like trash can and stuff like that.
Yes.
I was like, how do I defeat this? And it was like, use your dark light. I was like, how is that like, that's not obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like how
it's not.
How am I supposed to know? I didn't like the dark light uses.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same camp too, that there are definitely some levels and puzzles that require something, and it's just so incredibly vague. But that's not my biggest complaint.
What is your biggest complaint?
My biggest complaint is every time you get a new elevator button, it doesn't let you skip the cutscene of the button going in.
Also,
yes.
In each of those cutscenes, why is Luigi so like enthralled that it's moving by itself? It's done that for the past like 10 levels.
Yeah.
We're witnessing Luigi going through dementia every single time.
No, literally. That cutscene is absurdly long every time. And the fact that he doesn't immediately put it in his pocket where it's been stolen like 3 or 4 different times throughout the game, like after he gets it and you have to go find another boss or whatever. I'm like, dude, just put it away. Don't let it fly. Put it into the slot. Do not let that cat take the damn button.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
New DLC update. Skip button on that.
Yeah, for real. It needs to be available to... I guess maybe they have it like that because there are situations where a boss takes it. But, yeah. Oh my God. I think one of my big complaints was like at first when I was playing, I thought there would be more ghosts, like types. There's only 4. And I thought there would be more, but then later on the last level, there are points where there are so many ghosts that I was like, if there was more mechanics I had to think about than these 4, it would be a nightmare. So it eventually became not a big of a complaint. But I'm trying to remember. I mean, just honestly, the controls, like we've mentioned it a couple times. There are too many buttons for too many things, with multiple buttons doing the same thing, and it just makes your brain like, you're like, oh, I forgot that was a thing. Oh, I forgot that was a thing. The dark light for sure was a big one for me.
And one of the bumpers is also the plunger, and I didn't know that until, because I was just using Y, because that's what like it told me to do. And then
then you can't aim.
One time I was like, I can't like aim, and then I was trying to like suck something up, and then I hit the bumper on accident, and it gave me the aiming like control, and I was like, where has this been the entire fucking time?
Yeah. Literally, if you play this game, do not use the face buttons at all. Just use the bumpers and the triggers, because you can do the dark light. Because you have the left trigger is suck, or blow, whatever. Left and right triggers are the suck and blow, and then there's the left bumper is the plunger, right bumper is the flashlight, and then if you hold down the bumpers, you get the dark light. So you literally don't have to use the face buttons at all.
I did not know that about the dual bumpers.
And you want to know what's even more fucked up? If you walk up to something and interact with it and press both bumpers at the same time, it functions just like A. So you literally don't need to use the face buttons at all in this game.
Heck, dude?
Yeah. And that actually brings up one of my points on my thing. There, so in the on the magic level, there's that spinning like wheel that the knives get thrown at.
Yes.
I like killed a ghost with that thing.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Because those were physical objects. Like they spun around, and so I was spinning the thing, and a ghost came into it and got smacked with all the knives and died. And I'm like, what other things can you kill ghosts with in this game? I wonder.
With other ghosts.
Yeah. With other ghosts, you can smack the shit out of them. That's the best. That's the best way to kill things.
I think you can do it with if the floor has suitcases or the trash cans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You do the plunger and then you swing it.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever did that.
I did it on accident.
Really uh-huh.
When I was still trying to figure out the mechanics, I plungered something, and then I was like, oh, let me get rid of that. Pulled it over, slammed it, and it slammed right onto a ghost.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
I also got an achievement.
For that?
No, for killing a ghost with a ghost slam. Like killing another
nice.
ghost with another ghost.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the best way to do it. Like you flash multiple of them and then suck them all in, smack them, and then while those ones are like, if they don't die, then you just suck those ones up. It's great. I do love the chain combos you can do in this game. It's like super, super satisfying. But yeah, did you guys use gyro controls at all?
Only with the plunger.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of it I didn't mean to, but the way I was, because I only did it handheld. I didn't play it on like any monitor or anything. But whenever I would use the dark light and I was just holding it in front of my face, the dark light would go up, and I was like, no, that's not what I want. So I had to turn it off and then turn it back on. Yeah,
I definitely turned that off right away. Even though I was using a pro controller. Like I don't like gyro controls. But yeah, I was curious. And then there's another option to where you could be stationary or not. Like there's a couple things you can tweak in the game where you can, like, when you're sucking or blowing or aiming or whatnot, you can still move. Or you can be stationary.
Oh yeah, very helpful.
Yeah, that's a big one to turn on.
Around.
Yeah. I can't imagine playing this game not being able to move like when you're aiming. That'd be terrible. But before we wrap up and talk about the ending, my biggest thing that I wish this game had was more involvement from the other characters. There's a point in this game where you have to go in and rescue a toad. And that was one of my favorite moments of this game. Like you actually got to use the toad as like another Luigi basically. And like it felt like was like purposeful.
I liked that we were able to use the toad, but he also got in my way so much. I was like, dude, fuck away. So I'd be like trying to solve something, and then the toad would run right in front of my vacuum, and then I'd have to throw the toad away.
Yeah.
And then continue solving.
I loved launching him into the brick walls. It was so funny.
I was about to ask that.
It was so funny. Because I remember being like, I found the exit that you go with the toad when I went to the boiler room level the first time. And then I was like, why can't I go here? Am I going to get a new thing? And then nothing. But then you come back with the toad and you just launch him into the brick wall. And I was like, this is so funny. I love this so much. But yeah, I wish like Peach is somebody you don't even save. You save her last and the game ends. Like, I wish there was I wish Mario was the one that you are trying to save last, and like you get to use like help. You get help from Peach for a boss fight or something like that. It would be cool to actually just have them be involved with the fight. Oh, speaking of which, do you guys remember the one upgrade you get in this game that is used for one moment in the entire game?
The super sucker thingy?
Yeah. Speaking of the Toad level, how dumb that you had to do that whole thing and you get it for one use. You don't even get to use it in a fight.
I wish it was either earlier in the game or more used after it was introduced.
It should have been the way you beat the final boss or something. Like, that would have been cool.
100%.
Like, that thing was insane.
The thing I missed was once we got the upgrade from EGAD, the screen changed, which was a nice change. I liked having the different options. But it didn't when I first checked maps, it would tell me what gems I had found in the level. And then we got the upgrade from EGAD and I didn't get remaining gems on the map anymore. I was like, how do I know until I get the gem that I need? I didn't like that. And also the fact that in the pause screen before we got the upgrade, we were able to see the ghosts that we had already captured. And then once we got the upgrade, I think we had to go into the lab to see which ghosts we had caught. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't catch that because I didn't really pay attention to that too much, but that does sound frustrating. But yeah, that super sucker thing was, I was like, oh, this is cool. We're finally getting another tool to mess around with. And then you use it once and never again. And I was like, huh? Wait, why? Why did we do all of this? I could have just used a hammer or something to break down the wooden old ship that was there. I didn't need to destroy an entire wall.
I know EGAD kept being like, oh, Luigi, you need to come back for an extra part. But a little voice in my head was like, me and Luigi can take this down in 2 seconds.
No, literally.
They should have done a post game where you unlock the super suction in the beginning and you can just use it the whole time.
Yeah, that'd be
immediately
sick.
Destroy ghosts.
Absolutely. Yeah, like we were talking about, how Resident Evil, you unlock a bunch of really cool weapons afterwards and you can play through the game again with them. That would be super fun.
Yeah, instead of the hand cannon, it's the super sucker.
And you just instantly kill all ghosts.
Yeah,
super sick. But do you guys have any other points we want to talk about before we go into the final fight and what we thought about it?
I'm chilling.
I am ready.
Cool. So the final fight, you beat the hotel boss, and then you go up to fight Boo. But before that, you actually rescue Mario, which was fun. How did you guys like the boss fight against the hotel owner? I thought it was pretty good.
I think it was good.
I liked it.
I just had trouble with it for some reason. I the first couple times going through it, I was like, okay, cool, did it, done, whatever. And then it just got way harder for me, and maybe it's because I've been doing exams and final papers that my brain was just fried, but I just couldn't finish it.
Yeah, it was I feel like it was the most technically challenging fight because you're balancing 4 different things at once, and using Luigi successfully and all that. It could be pretty tough for sure. But I thought it was nice to ramp up that difficulty. But it did feel like the difficulty just skyrocketed like for that part of the game. And then for the final fight was like fairly difficult as well. But I was like, where did this difficulty spike come from? This is wild.
Yeah, it's like it wants you to utilize all the mechanics, but instead of easing you into it, it's like, okay, here you go, just go for it.
Yeah, you have to fight on 2 different levels, like while avoiding getting hit by this lady. You also have to avoid water and going through like you have to either blow or suck down a wall. And like, yeah, I was like, this is a lot for my brain right now. But then after that, you rescue Mario, which was very funny because it shows that Mario is just like way more athletic and brave than Luigi because he just dusts him up the stairs. Oh, it was so funny. I
was so tempted to, when Mario was like, "Oh, this way," and then Egad was like, "I'm detecting some presence behind that door. Are you sure you want to continue?" I was like, "What if I just say no? What if I just don't finish this game?" But I didn't. I was like, "No, I need to finish it. I need a ghost, like save everyone else. I'll go."
Yeah, that's so funny. You're like, "No, I choose not to go in and finish." But yeah, he like wall jumps like he's in Mario Odyssey all the way up the building, and then like Luigi has to take a ladder, which was so funny. I was like, Luigi can do these things. Like, why are we acting like he can't do this?
Oh, it's because the poltergeist, dude, it's so heavy.
I was gonna say, how heavy is that thing? Like, for real? Because then how crazy is it that he can like discharge the suction or whatever and like launch himself in the air? Like how much force is that thing creating if he's launching himself and he can't even jump while he's wearing the poltergeist? It's so funny. But yeah, going into the final fight is with King Boo. I didn't think it was too hard. I thought it was just a situation again where it is like I wasn't picking up on cues of like which King Boo was the real one. Did you guys how did you guys beat the final boss?
At first I was like confused because I was like, what the fuck? Like, I launch it at this one and it's not gonna work, and I launch it at this other one and it's not gonna work. And then I was like, hold on, why are 2 of these spiders and the other one is are 3 bombs? Oh, I'm a dumbass. I need to track which one has the bombs.
That's what I tried to do, and I could not get that right. I picked up on that as well.
I was able to do it just by like, I had died, and I don't think I would have died as much as I did. I died like twice, and I don't think I would have died as much as I did if I had caught on quicker. But
100%.
I hadn't caught on, and so when I finally did catch on, I literally like I saw like the one on the right throw it, and so I'd follow the throw, and then I'd follow the middle, and then I'd follow the like left to see like when they all dropped, because depending on which one threw it first would be the first one to drop, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, whichever drops first, I know who the fuck it is. So I was able to figure it out really quick. It just took a while to like wait and see.
Gotcha. Derek, did you, I mean, maybe pull from the first time you beat this boss, because you might have already knew like the mechanic that you were looking for. Like, how did you feel when you played this game the first time? Do you remember being frustrated at all?
Yeah, I do, because again, the tells aren't very obvious for which one's the real King Boo. And I'm trying to remember 3 years ago, I probably died a few times for sure. But even the second time playing, I was like, okay, wait, I remember this sucking real bad.
You're like, no, we're back here.
Then after, I didn't die on this fight, but it did take me a while to remember. I was like, oh yeah, it's the eyes. Oh, it's the spike ball. Yeah, this is the real one.
Do you want me to reveal? I looked it up because I was like, I'm like, okay, I know that it's the ball, like the spike ball thing, and I cannot figure out, like, I wasn't having as much success as Jess, so I was like, there's gotta be another way. The 2 fake ones are missing teeth.
Really?
Really?
So there's 4 teeth. I'm showing them in the camera. There's 4 teeth. The middle ones are gone on the fake ones, and it's like so instantly noticeable. Once you notice, you're like, Fuck, that's so obvious. Like after you notice
Oh,
that.
wow.
Let me see if I can find an image real quick.
And I guess, yeah, because all the balls that are falling around, all the fire, you're just not looking for something that small.
Yeah, no, literally. I was like, are you kidding me?
My first playthrough, or like my first fight with King Boo, I thought I had to suck the fireball and then throw it back.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought I just kept like not getting the timing right or something. So I died because I kept trying to fire back like the balls of lava that they kept throwing.
And I feel like that's a lot of this game is like experimentation. Like they do give you a lot of health. You can get hit quite a bit, but this is that is a good thing, is like you're trying to experiment and find out. But yeah, I just sent you guys the picture. The one on the left is the real one. The one on the right is the fake one. And it's so obvious now looking at it.
Also, there's no tongue unless it's just very dark.
It might just be very dark, but the teeth are so obvious. Like there's only 2 teeth.
Yeah.
So once I like figured that out by looking it up, I was like, okay, got it. This is over now. But my God, yeah. And then the spinning tooth or tongue.
I hated that. I didn't know how to like get around it. I just took the damage.
I could dodge the first one every single time, and then I could never dodge the second one because one was going clockwise and the other one was going counterclockwise, and I could never.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, but whatever. It worked out. But yeah, overall, like, what would you guys give this? I know we don't usually give like ratings, but like I feel like we're like, I love this game, go play it. And that's it. But this is we've had kind of a string of games that we've kind of talked negatively about, more than positively, but I still feel like it's just because there's not a lot positive to talk about that's not obvious about like a Nintendo game. What would you guys rate this on like a scale of 1 to 10?
Honestly, I'd rate it like a 7. Like, even though there's like a lot of negative things about it, I still genuinely enjoyed it. I mean, like, that's honestly the biggest part of playing video games, is as long as you enjoy it, doesn't really matter.
100%.
I really enjoyed it. I think it was also funny for my roommate to listen to me play it, because we now have a couch in our room.
Hell yeah.
Upgrades. So I'd be sitting on the couch and they'd be working on their laptop because they have more classes than I do right now. And then you just, if you were my roommate, you would just hear, oh, from the couch. So I'd get frustrated, and then I would sometimes I would just like put the switch down, like take a little walk around the room, and then come back. And I would be like, "You good? You okay there?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm fine. It's just stupid fucking boss." But I think it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. How about you, Derek?
I'd give it an 8 because I liked a lot of the Easter eggs and the throwbacks to older titles.
Yeah.
Now, that's really the only difference other than what Jess said. Because I know of those things and have played those other games in the past, I just like seeing them. I was like, yeah, that's cool. I like that.
I just realized we never once mentioned Polterpup, which I feel like is a disservice to the best character in this game.
Oh yeah, I love Polterpup. He was so cute.
Polterpup is great. Great character. Not much more that needs to be said about Polterpup, but Polterpup is great. Yeah, I think for me it's a 7.5. Like I'm right in between you guys. It's missing, like, the controls make it not feel like a first party Nintendo game. Like the control polish doesn't make it feel like when you play Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild or these other games that have a lot of complicated controls, if you want to master them, I never have to think about what I'm doing. Like everything makes sense. And with this, I'm like, I was constantly like, what button do I press here? What? Oh no, that's suck, not blow. Damn it. Like that's what it felt like throughout the whole game. And I played it over 2 days. I played like 14 hours over 2 days and I still never mastered it. Like I never felt like I had a grasp exactly on what button did what kind of thing.
Yeah, that's really fair. Also, sidebar about Polterpup. I was so ready for the chuckles of Polterpussy, but it didn't. I was like, is the cat gonna be Polterpussy? Is it gonna be? And then it was Polterkitty, and I was like, I mean, it's more family friendly.
You're like, for sure, but
it'd be so funny. It would be so funny Because Polter Pup, it's so cute. It'd be so funny if the counterpart was...
Yeah, I mean, you can call it that, Polter Pussy, moving forward, if we ever interact with that thing again in the future. But yeah. Oh man, that's so funny. Polter Pussy. I never even thought that. I was like, it's for sure going to be like Polter Kitty or Polter Cat or something like that.
Polter Puss.
Polter Puss.
That would have been funny, better than Polter Pussy.
Yeah. They probably could have got away with Polter Puss, I think. That would have been fine. But yeah, okay, we did it. Me and Derek have recorded 5 hours together this weekend because we just did, to plug that. I don't know when it'll be out, but we did a Game of the Year episode on his channel with a bunch of other guys from the Leveling Friends group. So look for that in the future. Derek, do you want to do some plugs before we head out?
Sure. Yeah, I intend to release that Game of the Year mega episode a few days before the Game Awards. So the Game Awards is on December 7th.
Yeah, perfect.
So a few days before that, I don't know, that Monday or Tuesday.
Nice.
But yeah, you can find me everywhere at Good Games Casually, my own podcast, which is available also everywhere at Good Games Casually. I have a website, goodgamescasually.com.
There's a pattern.
Where I write. Yeah, there's a pattern. Where I write articles about gaming habits, again, mental health. I also do game reviews once in a while. Thanks, Eric. Man, this was fun, dude.
Yeah, glad you could be here. Our next game is unannounced at this moment because our next episode should be our big Game of the Year episode where we're going to rank every single game that we've played in our first year and some change of this show and decide which one is the best one. So it's been I think we'll have 14 games to contend, and we're going to run through the list and see which one is the best. So that should be coming out sometime in probably late December. But aside from that, Jess, where are our socials?
Find us everywhere at ShortLongPod, Instagram, Threads, and we're also in the Leveling Friends group, the LFG forum on the Discord. It's also in our link tree on our Instagram and Threads.
And then if you want to find us individually, just look in the description of the Instagram. It's there, or the Threads, whatever. We're on both. But yes, normally I'm trying out something new. Normally here I would do a fun call to action, but as I've gotten some feedback, the first one I ever did was the best one. So to sign off here, I will simply say, kidnap your friends. And Derek, don't be surprised if there's ever a point in time where I'm talking and I say, forget everything I just said. I'm going to edit that out because it was so bad.
Okay.
As that happens at least twice every episode.